Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of What If Civilization Started Over. We're going to get right into it, as in this episode, we will mostly be looking at a war over here in the colonial theater. In the next episode, we'll look at the Old World. In episode 26, we'll look back at the New World, and we're going to alternate like that probably until episode 30. So for now, let's go to the Old World, or the New World, sorry, where a massive conflict has just broken out, if you'll remember, between Belgium, Spain, and Andalusia over this territory, which I know it doesn't really thematically make sense, but we're gonna call this the Alaska territory. And basically, it's completely claimed 100% by Andalusia, by Belgium, and by Spain. All three countries claim all of the Alaska territory, which means that there's not going to be any cooperation between them. But Spain and Andalusia have a much bigger hatred for each other than either of them has for Belgium. So Belgium might be more willing to cooperate with either of them, and they would both be more willing to cooperate with Belgium. So let's see how this war goes. So I'm actually going to color in the entire territory, and I'm going to color it in this bright orange color, just so that it's much easier to see who's taken what territory. But it's basically just going to kind of be like a military invasion of this territory, as all three of these countries move their militaries in to try taking this territory. So Spain is actually the first to start moving their military in, but Belgium then joins in as they start actually using their North Pole Navy, as they pretty much control the Arctic Circle. And you have to remember, like, this is much closer to this than this is to this, because of the way that the Earth is a sphere. Yeah, a lot of the Alaskan part of the Alaska territory is taken by Belgium, while Andalusia takes probably the most habitable parts of the territory, and kind of the most valuable, honestly, parts of the territory, as they take the southern parts of the Alaska territory, where people actually live in real life. But this is going to continue as more invasions are going to happen over here, as slowly but surely the Belgians are actually doing the best at this. The Spanish will get back into it, though, and they will actually start invading into proper Belgian territory, but the countries were already kind of at war with each other, so that's not really going to spark a new escalation as they start taking territory from the Belgians, pushing the Belgian military back, which they weren't expecting. Well, Andalusia will go through Spanish territory to make conquering some of this territory easier, also taking land from the Belgians. As for now, neither the Spanish nor the Andalusians are trying to make an alliance with the Belgians. All three are just trying to fight for themselves, as they all think they're powerful enough to take the territory and force the other two to back down. So for now, this is what it looks like. And interestingly, there's really not going to be too much conflict in Europe proper, as the Spanish and the Andalusians basically sign a deal with each other saying, hey, we're not going to invade each other in Europe, because that would be disastrous for both of them. However, the Spanish do send their Carthaginian vassal basically to invade into the Andalusian vassal of Morocco. So Andalusia has to stop that, and so there's another front of the war, but it's yet again not a European front. Meanwhile, Belgium is also signs an agreement with those two. Let's not fight in Europe, because they have a lot of ops who would want to take territory from them if they did start fighting in Europe. So it's mostly going to be fighting over in this theater. As for now, the Belgians are actually doing really well, as they pretty much control the Arctic Circle, as they also have a bigger navy in the Pacific theater that they can just move down from the Arctic Circle than Andalusia has. And they start beating Andalusia militarily, seizing Vancouver Island, which means they take the first actual major city of the battle, and probably one of the only ones that'll actually fall, as Andalusia has just suffered a massive military defeat, and it seems most of the Alaskan territory is now in Belgian hands. And Spain and Andalusia are unwilling to cooperate with each other for this. However, Spain does have a massive trick up their sleeve, as they launch an invasion into the New England territories of Belgium, which are way more valuable than the Alaskan territories, as Belgium makes a deal with Spain to have Spain withdraw from these territories. However, they will withdraw a large portion of their army from here, and they know that it's going to allow Spain to take the territory, but they hope that Andalusia competing for the Alaska territory will at least make it more difficult. as Andalusia is instead going after Belgium. And it seems that although these two hate each other, they're at least de facto cooperating until Spain decides to seize Andalusian Florida, and they actually sign a law officially annexing it. And that reinvigorates battles as Andalusia declares full war on Spain, although they still don't battle in Europe, but like they're fully at war now. It's not just de facto war, as they start invading into the Spanish territories. However, this has an unintended consequence for Andalusia, as the Spanish people in the colonies start rising up against their Andalusian occupiers, especially over here, and Spain is able to start drafting them into the military, whereas Andalusia kind of is using people from their colonies mostly to fight, but it's not like a draft, as it's kind of more militias. And so the Spanish are actually doing better than the Andalusians over here. Meanwhile, the Belgians take revenge on the Spanish and start an invasion into the less populated parts of the Spanish territories, as well as go back on their deal with the Spanish and start retaking the Alaskan territory, forcing the Spanish to start supplying this, as they decide to focus on the Alaskan territories temporarily, and cut the Belgians off from the Andalusians, which is probably a bad idea because now both of the sides are strictly focused on the Spanish, and the Spanish are going to start to suffer. A landing is made in southern Florida to try and take Andalusian Florida back, but it's kind of been resettled with the Spanish people, as there was pretty much no one living there anyway, just like military people. This major city is threatened as the southern part of the Mississippi River is freed, and Andalusia is just in general making quick work of Spain, taking this major city, and the Spanish colonies are kind of getting nervous. And the year is probably around like 1600 at this point. Actually, probably a little later than 1600, maybe like 1650. Yeah, we'll say the year's around 1650 at this point, and this war is going to go until like 1675. So a pretty long war. It's been going on for about 10 years at this point, so it's not even halfway done yet. For now, it's pretty much just these three countries at war, but we do have to go back to the North African front because a little bit of stuff is happening there. As it turns out, Carthage is way more powerful than Morocco, and the European powers have kind of stopped helping their vassals, as this is pretty much just a war between Carthage and Morocco that Carthage is winning pretty handily. However, Rome will try to use this opportunity to seize back Sicily and Corsica, which were at some point their territories. And Spain is very unhappy about that, and they demand their vassal go and take those territories back. And Spain helps with their navy, and this is actually able to take these territories back, mostly from Rome, with Sardinia being fully taken back, and they seize Corsica as like a screw you to Rome. This easily allows for Morocco to start taking territory back, focusing mostly on the North African coast, as well as on taking this Saharan city. As they're trying to liberate most of their country, they encircle a large Carthaginian army here, which is doing pretty badly, but then the general of this army sneaks away at night and is able to get back to the main territory of Carthage, avoiding a major disaster. But Rome is now at war with Spain, as they send a fleet to take back Corsica, and this is going to have disastrous effects for Spain and the mainland. And Spain was already doing badly in the North American front, as Belgium pretty much seizes all of these territories here, and invades into all of the Spanish territories that are a part of modern-day Canada, going for this one city in Michigan, which is being fiercely defended. However, as Spain decides to fall back, withdrawing all their troops from anywhere north of here, this creates a problem for Belgium and Andalusia, as Andalusia decides to start invading into the Alaska territory, which angers Belgium, who sends troops through. This is technically Spanish territory, but it's really Belgium and Andalusia who are fighting, as Belgium and Andalusia are getting really angry with each other. And Spain, who is currently losing the island of Sicily again, decides to go to Belgium and offer to recognize most of the Belgian claims to the Alaska territory in exchange for an alliance with Belgium against Andalusia. And Belgium will actually accept this because they desperately need it. So in the Alaska Territory, all of these lands will go to Belgium. Well, Belgium will withdraw from Spanish territory, or if they don't withdraw, then their armies are now working with the Spanish armies. As Spain is now able to focus a little bit more of their army against Rome, as they start an invasion into the Italian peninsula, as well as retaking Corsica. And Belgium starts sending their own army into Rome. And with this, Carthage is able to start fighting back against Morocco. Meanwhile, over here, Andalusia is getting pushed back hard by the joint Belgian and Spanish military, which is mostly fighting together now, with Vancouver Island being seized and the Alaska Territory being completely lost, as Spanish people flood in to liberate their comrades, and a Spanish invasion of the Andalusian Bahamas takes place, as an invasion is prepared for Cuba, while the Mississippi River Delta is seized by Spain, who then quickly floods troops in as Andalusia retreats. However, Andalusia is still the most powerful country in the world, and they want to show that, as they basically decide to do a side effort in the Moroccan front, funding Morocco a lot more than Carthage is being funded. And although Carthage is stronger than Morocco, Andalusia is stronger than both of them combined. And with the help of Morocco proper, things are going very badly, as the city of Carthage is surrounded. And this is kind of just a show of force. Like, Spain, if they wanted to, could easily reverse this, because there's not even that much of Andalusia's military coming in here. However, Spain has another thing they want to do, as they make a naval landing over here and start surrounding Rome's capital with their armies, trying to force Rome to surrender. However, Rome is unwilling to surrender, hoping that Andalusia will help them, as they sign an official alliance with Andalusia, making them pretty much a protectorate of Andalusia. And with this, Andalusia will start funding Rome to start doing better against their invaders. However, they've kind of withdrawn some of their troops from Morocco, and that is doing badly here. But Spain and Andalusia are still not at war with each other in Europe, at least for now. And there's probably about 10 years left of this conflict before it goes away, so we are a majority of the way through the conflict now. And that's simply because, although Andalusia might be doing some pretty good stuff in the European front, in the American front, which is the main front of the war, they're kind of losing. The year is 1665, or it's probably 1667 by now, as the central U.S. territories that Andalusia has are falling, with these territories falling to Belgium, who then gives them over to Spain, since they are Spanish territories. However, Belgium and Spain still have to divide the remainder of the Alaska Territory up, but Andalusia is losing in this front. However, they're not really focused on that front, as in the year 1670, they officially start the European campaign, beginning an invasion into Spain proper, which is going more slowly, obviously, than the other campaigns, because Spain was still defending themselves on their mainland. They're hoping that Spain will withdraw their troops, but instead they first withdraw their troops from the Carthaginian front to defend their homeland. Anyway, so Carthage will quickly fall, mostly entirely, as well as the entire eastern front, pretty much. However, Spain will be able to start doing better on the home front as they start invasions, liberating these two cities and going into Andalusia. However, their influence in the Mediterranean has been completely capsized, at least for now. However, Spain does get a new country on their side, as Croatia. Belgium will offer Croatia a bit of land in order to join them in the war. And with Croatia's help, Belgian troops in Italy are doing a lot better, as Burgundy will begin their own invasion of Rome. And this is because, things in the Americas are really collapsing for Andalusia. So, although they might be doing well in the Mediterranean, you have to realize that this is what most people consider to be the main front of the war, and things are going horribly for them, as an invasion of Cuba works within, 2 months. and Spain has cut off a large amount of their territory, as Andalusia will start an invasion of Burgundian colonies as retribution for Burgundy invading into Rome, and this is with 2 years left in the war. As Burgundy officially declares war on Andalusia, helping Spain with their mission, as once this colony is cut off, Andalusia is kind of willing to sign peace. And what the frick is that city? However, with only like 8 months left in the war, Burgundy will start their own invasion up into here. Spain is making some further gains into Andalusia. This is why Andalusia is going to surrender. But first, they retake their islands as well as Corsica and free Carthage, so to ensure that Carthage will remain a Spanish vassal after the war is over. And at this point, Andalusia will officially surrender, but Rome will refuse to surrender. And so into 1676 and 1677, invasions will commence into Rome by Belgian, Spanish, Burgundian, and Croatian troops. And while this is happening, I feel like this should happen already, Poland has just invaded into here, because I hated that Serbian country's existence. It was so ugly. But Rome will also surrender. Let's see what these peace treaties look like. And honestly, the consequences of this war aren't that huge. Spain basically gets the modern-day U.S., with Belgium getting Canada, and Andalusia getting Mexico. The entire Venezuela territory gets transferred to Burgundy. Why do I think I've been calling them Burgundy the whole time. They're not Burgundy, they're Brittany. Honestly, I should just call them France at this point. And also, Spain's Carthaginian puppet probably should be in their alliance, right? Rome is an Andalusian vassal, we already saw that. Croatia gets a little exclave here. Their Alpine territory goes to Belgium, and the French Burgundian puppet gets a little bit of land here. While this was happening, I don't want to do too much here, but because this is mostly next episode, we're going to cover the same time span. But England expands their Mozambique colony with 2 major cities popping up, as well as one here. One pops up in Madagascar. The northern portion of this Angolan colony is purchased by Brittany, as Brittany is actually given to Brittany for free, because Brittany and Galicia are really good allies, and they want to kind of cement their alliance, which is going to be made official. Although you'll see at the end of this episode why that's not necessarily a good. Actually, it might be the end of the next episode. Why that's not necessarily a good thing. Spain and Andalusia realize that they are not taking advantage of these African colonies, but they were busy this episode, and same with Belgium, so they didn't get to do anything here. And yeah, one last thing is that Galicia began a colony in Western Australia, as England will take the northern bit of Madagascar, and it seems Galicia and England are kind of in their own conflict with each other. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this episode, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!